Hello there everyone, welcome back to another stream. Obviously today's a bit different. The EA servers are pretty much down at the moment across the entire Origin. EA servers are down, so I can't play Battlefront, so I thought I'd do a quick podcast today. Got some guests down below. You can see Nick Antilles, Chad the Dad, and Oscar from 8 Circuit Studios. So hope you're all doing well, guys. How are we today?
Doing very good. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm doing very good, thank you. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about just the games industry in general. Obviously, there's been a lot of things over the last few, weeks and kind of months that have impacted it. We're going to be talking about Star Wars as well. So we got a new Clone Wars trailer in the last couple of hours, which is pretty awesome. Battlefront 2, obviously, as well. And then kind of just YouTube in general as well, kind of any tips, I guess, we have. And if you've got any questions as well, feel free to ask. We'll do our best to answer them as well, kind of at the end of those topics. So I'm just gonna, actually wait, no, I don't need to full screen that on that. So we're gonna start off with Star Wars today. So obviously we had a new Clone Wars trailer for the Siege of Mandalore, which starts on Friday. Has anyone here not seen it?
I've seen it, so
You've seen it?
all good to discuss the juicy details.
Excellent. All right, I'm just gonna get it up on my phone again as well. But what were the kind of, did you enjoy it? Firstly, did you like it?
Absolutely, yeah. It pumped me. I mean, I've been in a Halo mood lately, so I've been kind of like on the down low for Star Wars, but like since the SOCAR concluded, but now this has got me super pumped with all the clones, and everything.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think. Yep.
I actually have a massive confession to make about Clone Wars.
Okay.
So I got to like season 4, I think it was, and then I didn't watch anymore.
Ooh.
And then as it came up to season 7, but I knew basically everything that happened.
Yeah.
And then as it came up to season 7, I tried to start watching things again, but then uni and stuff. So now I'm currently rewatching all of Clone Wars, and I managed to stay away from everything.
Okay. So, all right. We'll try not to say too much about it then. We'll try not to say too much.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's tricky one. Oscar, what do you think?
Nah, man, it's been fun. Emotional ride, So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm game for.
I think for me, it's so nice to see Clone Wars back. Like when I heard the announcement, I was obviously really happy. I was like 12 episodes. I was kind of like, it's really nice to have that, but at the same time, I felt quite disappointed with just 12 episodes. And now that we're on Siege of Mandalore, it's kind of like I'm almost craving more again. And it's going to be sad to see it go, but I think it's nice to see it end in the way it will. Because we never, obviously, beforehand with Season 6, that was, the whole Lost Missions thing. That wasn't really an official endpoint. Obviously, that's where we ended us before. So it's nice that they're actually going back to finish it finally, I think, is kind of the way I'm trying to take it, I think. But in that trailer as well, there are some nice details as well. I think FireBlue noticed something interesting. Obviously, potentially Kato Nemoidia. Did you guys see that as well?
Yeah. Well, I knew it was not Mandalore for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be a good opportunity to put it in Kato Nemoidia. I think from the surrounding, what I know about Kato Nemoidia and remember about it, or what it looks like from the other Clone Wars arcs and Revenge of the Sith, because they have a lot of upside down hanging cities. So. That's not what this but the bridge could be connecting to like something else too, so
I think Force Unleashed is quite a nice way to see the planet as well.
Exactly.
In there it's all the whole rock formation kind of arcing over, and then you've got the city built in between, which I think is nice. And seeing that bridge is kind of it, you could link it to that absolutely. And obviously Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan obviously talks about Kato Nemoidia saying that business doesn't count, and the fact that we haven't seen that yet as well would make, obviously, I think I've seen a lot of people talk about that being the perfect opportunity. So yeah, it's going to be good.
I'm excited to see what planet it is. I mean, if it's not Kato Nemoidia, I'm not gonna complain or anything. It's just like that would be really neat if they did that, because they've kind of did that with a few things so far already.
Yeah,
so
100%.
What do you guys think about Ahsoka potentially being in Mandalorian season 2?
That's a good one, actually. I'll let you guys say what you will, and I'll discuss in a second.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of bringing characters from animated TV series, because it kind of wraps it up really nicely.
Yeah,
I think that's like my main.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not like hardcore about lore and stuff, so like for me, it's always a plus, right? Like I'm a big Ahsoka fan now. I wasn't before. Now I'm just like, yeah, let's put her in.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think, Chad?
I think that I'll always agree with this point that they've made in the past, which is that don't bring a character back just for the sake of bringing a character back. Bring it like, if she is coming back, I will like it as long as it's for a good reason and it's written well. I don't want to just see her in live action just to see her in live action. In The Mandalorian, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like there would just be like a lot of gray area problems, or I don't know if she would overshadow the Mando. Like there's not a lot you
that's
can
a good point.
talk about right now. There's not a lot you can talk about right now until you like actually see the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I love Ahsoka. She's one of my favorite characters, and she's definitely grown on me since the beginning of the Clone Wars started, and I think Dave Filoni's done a fantastic job with her. But yeah, that's basically it. If she is brought back, like make it for a good reason, not just fan service,
not just hype.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for me, it's I'm very much the same as you, Chad. Like I'm excited to see what she could do with it, but I also am a bit afraid of the whole overshadowing thing. I feel like with The Mandalorian, obviously a big thing of it was Baby Yoda, and that whole Baby Yoda's like blown up. Everyone knows about Baby Yoda, and I don't want Baby Yoda. I don't want him to kind of overshadow The Mandalorian, because ultimately it is a show about him, and I feel like if they did Ahsoka wrong, then like in the show, then she could overshadow him as well, and it's kind of it's essentially his show, but he's being overshadowed by all these other characters, and I feel like I think Ahsoka could absolutely work in the show, whether if it's just like a small cameo appearance in one episode, or whether it's in multiple episodes, actually part of the big story, which I wouldn't mind seeing, as long as it's obviously well written. And I think it could set up for kind of an animated show as well, because there was obviously rumors over the last few months with regards to kind of a potential Rebels sequel that takes place after episode 6. So I think if we see it kind of tie into that, and that's kind of maybe kickstarts the story for that, I think that could be really interesting. But yeah, I think as long as it doesn't get overshadowed, then that's kind of fine by me.
I guess it's difficult when it's a main character and you're trying to cameo a main character from a form of Star Wars media, because I think having a small thing like Saw Gerrera appear in Rogue One a little bit, and then obviously pops up in Fallen Order as well. That's the kind of thing that's quite easy to do, and it's quite satisfying.
I really enjoy that. I was using Saw Gerrera as an example, I think last night, and I love that Saw pops in, in Star Wars Rebels. Obviously he was introduced in the Clone Wars, so when we saw him in live action in Rogue One, I thought that's I really really liked that. And obviously Rebels then built into the Rogue One story. We saw him again, and we see him in Fallen Order, and like tying all those kind of little bits together for me is really interesting. And I'm kind of one of those guys that I love to learn as much as I can about someone's story, so kind of the more we see them the better, but I don't want them to be forced into another, I don't want them to be forced into the story somehow just for the sake of continuing that. I think for me it is kind of a case of what am I trying to say? Yeah, I just don't think that in a universe like Star Wars, you've got so much potential for characters that,
for real,
if it's like just having Ahsoka in there for the sake of it when you could easily have some other, I don't know, not necessarily a Jedi perhaps, but you could have another alien species or another lead character in that spot doing maybe a similar thing. Kind of depends on the story how it works, but don't just have a character in there for the sake
I've seen some people say that if she showed up, like I've seen some rumors or stuff going around on my feed saying that her appearance could be or is going to be a pilot for her own series, which I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't look into rumors. I'll talk about them with people and stuff, but I'm not one of those people that dives into rumors and then goes like, I'm not like locked in on a rumor and saying this is happening. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Because then that just gets your hypes up. But I like talking about them, and I think that would be cool to see if it would be set up as a pilot. As long as they did it right.
Yeah, of course. Because that's the thing. There's, I think Bob Iger a few months back actually said that with Mandalorian season 2, there's the potential to kind of look into the show's characters and then build off a series, for a couple of characters within that. And obviously, whether that means Ahsoka, then that could absolutely be something. Whether it is essentially to see how she's received, but I feel like if they start the story, they're gonna want to finish it, because otherwise it's kind of like left. I don't like things being left untold, very much like how Clone Wars ended all of a sudden, and obviously it's come back now. But yeah, then there was obviously the whole rumor about the animated Rebel sequel, and if we could see that, then would her appearance in The Mandalorian be essentially a pilot for that? Or if people enjoy it enough, then we could see her in live action as well, because I feel like, because obviously they've got who's it?
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, so she, obviously she was in the kind of, well, what's now not MCU, but the Netflix. She was in pretty much every single Netflix Marvel show, kind of connecting it all together. And I feel like with a name like herself, you wouldn't want to just bring her in for 2-3 episodes of The Mandalorian and not essentially have her come back again. So I don't know. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I feel like they'd want to kind of use her talents a bit more, maybe.
I've seen some things circulating talking about her and how I have no knowledge of any of this until I started seeing it online. But apparently there was some legal troubles or whatever that she's had lately, or like
there was something.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
So people are wondering, like, or saying like, oh, Disney would never let this happen. Like, they wouldn't want to work with someone who's got this going on or whatever. So
yeah, I feel like it's more, as far as I'm aware, it's kind of more something she actually did or said more than. I mean, it could very well be legal stuff, but I think it's kind of more something she said offended people, and then people are like, obviously Disney shouldn't be working with someone like this. That's kind of as far as I know of the situation. But either way, I'm looking forward to seeing her in the Mandalorian if she comes into it. But I am obviously a bit worried that she might overshadow the actual Mando and the show itself. But if it leads into other Star media, and I'm kind of all for it, really. I think.
Yeah, because I mean, I told you when I went to Disney World that all the merchandise there at Galaxy's Edge and just around the other parks, 90% of it was Baby Yoda, and I saw maybe 1 or 2 shirts that centralized Din Djarin too. Which I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to see all this play out.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just using obviously Baby Yoda feels like a big marketing stunt by Disney and Lucasfilm, just to kind of get people on board with the show, and obviously people watching it, like, they're not necessarily watching it for the story or for the Mandalorian themselves, they're just watching it to see how cute Baby Yoda is, and it's just
yeah, I mean, it just became just socially, like social media just took on over. It makes me wonder if they anticipated that all along, or they kind of just caught wind of like, hey man, Baby Yoda's super hot.
Exactly. I'm wondering that too, because they took a long time for merchandise to be brought out.
Yeah, I feel like they would have.
They might have waited till the season was done.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would have been releasing merchandise for Baby Yoda anyway. Like, they would have had some plans for certain things, but seeing how well he took off, they're probably like, right, okay, we can tap into this like a lot and make a lot of money for this, and they'll kind of partner up with even more people and get that going. I mean, you see, like, I've seen plenty of people make their own Baby Yoda stuff. Like, here in the UK, there's a big shop, Primark, and they very, like, as soon as the Mandalorian show came out, they were very quick to get t-shirts out for that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Nick, you might have seen as well. And it's just, it was sometimes as simple as just one of the images that is used commonly in memes. It would just be grab that off a screen, put it on a shirt, and sell it. Like, it was just that quick. It's just,
yeah. I'm curious how long, like, putting together like a shirt and like mass producing it takes too. You know, because like, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into making the shirt and stuff, but like when you think about that process compared to like a ton of other business decisions, you know, it's relatively quick. Like you can make you can make an art piece and then slap it onto a t-shirt in a relatively good amount of time. But I'm wondering how fast they were able to get it mass produced and distributed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah,
'cause that could play another part into how popular Baby Yoda got so quickly and.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. I think it would be interesting to see kind of any analytics of the whole Baby Yoda thing, like in terms of not necessarily just Google searches, obviously, but in terms of like website kind of analytics for, I mean, if something like Primark or just an online store that's selling Baby Yoda stuff, to see when Baby Yoda was first introduced, and then all of a sudden, you know, I think views would have probably just gone through the roof, you know, like, and I actually end up seeing that. I think Baby Yoda's been lucrative for many people. A lot of people have cashed in on it, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't. Oh no, go ahead. No,
I was gonna say I just searched The Mandalorian, right, and then I on Google and I clicked on shopping, and Baby Yoda shows up.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all about Baby Yoda, isn't it? Which, you know, I get it. Like, he's cute. It's awesome to see it. Like, when I first saw Baby Yoda for the first time when I was watching it, I was kind of like, whoa. Like, I looked at my brother and we were both in shock, and it was really cool. But yeah, I don't want him to overshadow the Mandalorian just for the sake of people.
Yeah, exactly. I don't hate Baby Yoda. Don't get me wrong. I love the character and I think he's adorable. You know, I just always joke about the fact that, you know, how oversaturated society is of him and all the memes on the internet and stuff, you know. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's good, but yeah, I just wish that overshadow thing wasn't that much of a problem. But
yeah, I can't think of any right now, but I know it wouldn't be the first time that a protagonist takes a back seat to somebody else that just became more popular.
Yeah, it's a shame to see that, and I hope that's not going to be the case, because the Mandalorian himself is actually a really cool character, and I think for me, as much as Baby Yoda's kind of cool, that I'm genuinely more there for the Mandalorian, because I really enjoyed the whole Mandalorian kind of lore going on with the armor as well, the whole signet stuff. Like, that for me was really interesting, and that's kind of what keeps me the most invested, I think. So I really want to be able to learn more about that in the next season, you know, instead of just, oh, Baby Yoda's there. That's cute, you know. I think it's one of those things.
I'm very much looking forward to season 2. I mean, we literally have a clan of 2 Mandalorian we're seeing for the first time, not to mention on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, there might have been some in Legends, but like, this is like the first major clan of 2 we're seeing. And not only, when you think about it, I mean, it's a species, it's Yoda's species. It's a Mandalorian joining a clan with Yoda's species. Put that on paper and pitch that. I mean, that's crazy. Like, if you asked me if we would have this like a few years ago, I would have said no way they're ever doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the actual decisions, like, you know, overall creative decisions that was going on behind closed doors. You know, when Jon Favreau first was like, hey, let's get a Baby Yoda involved, or if, you know, whoever had that idea, it would be interesting to see what the actual meeting was like, to see what people actually thought, because Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Next topic is very different. Ideal Star Wars game. Any suggestions on that one?
Open world bounty hunter game.
Open world, yeah,
Damn.
yeah. I see.
13.
I've had this conversation a lot, and I think you guys in the chat will probably know it as well. But I think for me, an open world Star Wars game where you kind of bounty hunter, smuggler sort of missions would be just it'd be so much fun. Like open world, you don't have to obviously be able to explore like a whole planet, so it'd be just insane. But just have fairly big hubs on multiple different planets where you can with big explorable, let's say Tatooine for example. Don't just have it in a big kind of city area. Just obviously go into the Dune Sea or Beggars Canyon, whatever. Just some nice explorable open plains which you could actually just kind of do bounty hunting missions on. Because I think for me that would just be amazing. Like obviously, and I think the potential for missions as well is vast. Because you've got, you could be like assassinating people, just smuggling or whatever. So it'd just be, I think for me that'd be just incredible.
I think, like from the game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, the missions when you go to like Coruscant to the underworld and stuff, it's really that really was kind of that's some of my earliest memories of Star Wars. So I'd love to see something like that again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I played it a bit on the GameCube years ago at my mum's cousin, but I got it on PS4. I haven't played it in a long time. But it is things like that, obviously that actually kind of was a story leading up to Jango Fett in Episode 2, and for me that was actually it was a really fun game. Because I think for me sometimes some of the best, like most interesting things about Star Wars is kind of seeing the whole gritty underworld and how that works. That's actually a big reason why I liked Solo so much, was because you kind of got involved with the crime syndicates and the underworld and all that stuff. And I think
Coruscant is one of my favorite planets.
Yeah, I think it is my favorite planet in Star Wars. It's just
and
like,
I think it's a perfect setting for a video game.
Yeah,
100%.
It really is.
With all the levels as well, you've got there's the upper levels, and then you've got the hundreds and no doubt thousands of different like levels just as you go down into the underworld. Like it's crazy. Like you could do so much with it. And with
they could even do Nar Shaddaa. I mean, they're both massive city planets, and I'm like, it could work. It really could.
It absolutely could. And then you'd obviously want to kind of see, you don't want to get stuck in urban environments the whole time, would you? So I mean, things like, I don't know, let's just use Takodana for example. I think Takodana would actually be quite nice with Maz's castle, and then you kind of get to explore that area a little bit as well. Kind of add some lore into there really. But you just change up the locations. But the potential for that game as well would be, if we saw the light of day with that, would be just vast, because you've got, I mean, the story potential is huge. Obviously Star Wars has a vast array of characters. You could create a ton of interesting characters as well, but you could customize a character in terms of what armor they're wearing, overall paint jobs, upgrade weapons with your ships as well, upgrade weaponry on that, upgrade defenses, customize your look, buy new ships, maybe trade weapons with other people, or just trade parts to create your own stuff. Like the overall mechanics and gameplay opportunities for that would just be incredible. And I think I'd love, like, even if it's not Star Wars, something like that for me would just be so much fun. I'd love that.
Yeah, they have they've brought out Fallen Order, which is a Jedi centered game, and you explore a few new planets and a few planets you've already been to. Yep. So I think after that series is potentially done, go on to something like Blaster centered, a little bit more gritty, less Force focused, something like that.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Star Wars, is obviously for a lot of people it is all about the whole Jedi and using the Force, and obviously using a Jedi and stuff like that is obviously one of those things that a lot of people will dream of and stuff like that. So I think for me, like, Fallen Order was great in terms of that. Like, gameplay for Fallen Order was great fun. Story was fantastic as well. And I think the potential for a sequel is absolutely there, and I think we probably will get that. So yeah, I mean, it's nice. I really like the whole Jedi stuff, but I think as you say, Nick, once that series is finished, it'll be nice to go, or even like alongside it from another studio, just kind of an open world, blaster focused. Whether it was like a single, whether it was a single player, story. I think like GTA in a way, where you've got all these open world stuff, but you've got a single player kind of canon story. And then you have the multiplayer aspect as well, like GTA, where you can create your own character and you can go through all these missions and free roam opportunities as well. I think like
I saw that in chat. It was a pretty good recommendation. Pretty fun.
Yeah, it was,
GTA style Star Wars.
Yeah, Frostbite Cinematics put that in. I just think that would be incredible. Like, GTA Star Wars for me would be absolutely ideal, because I mean, obviously there's bounty hunting and smuggling, and I think the opportunities there is just vast in terms of just mission opportunities and obviously overall story as well. I think it would be the perfect Star Wars game for me, honestly. It's been something I've wanted for so many years now.
So I could throw out a little different idea. I'm not sure. Did you guys ever play the Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005?
Yes, lots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. I'm a big fan of those their space battles, and how you could jump into a ship and be on the ground, right? So it's a big motivation for the stuff that I'm working on, but also even if they redid it, I would love to.
So actually, having played a bit of Project Genesis myself, that's what I loved about it. The first time I went on, I started in my ship. I was flying through. I saw a couple other people, and then what I really like actually is that boarding mechanism you've got going on, where you just kind of shoot into the side of the pod, and then you explore and capture, essentially capture those command posts on that capital ship is a lot of fun. Actually, I really like that. So yeah, I can see why that would be a big motivator for you. And I think actually that's what I love so much about Battlefront 2005's space battles itself. Like Starfighter Assault and Battlefront 2017 is great, I love it, but I don't find myself playing it that much because it's just solely in space, and obviously there's not a lot of content with it, but the opportunity to fly around in space, complete objectives, but then also to go in and land in a capital ship and explore that would just be amazing. I'd love that.
During the Battlefront 2 reveal, the 2017 one, I was really disappointed when I found out there wasn't any shipboarding.
Yeah.
That was like something I really wanted from the game, and then when I found out it wasn't there, I was kind of disappointed. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's something they can they probably can do it, but it's kind of whether they will, and that actually leads us kind of perfectly onto the next topic, which is talking about the current situation with Battlefront 2, kind of in terms of the communication and future content as well, because obviously there's a global pandemic going on right now, and obviously a lot of people are concerned about the future of the game. But I think if we do, if the game does see a future, like I think a lot of us hope for, then I think seeing a game mode for starfighters where you could actually board capital ships and play through that experience would be great. But because of the way Supremacy is, I just can't really see it working, unfortunately. It would be cool though. It would be cool.
Yeah, the whole thing about the future of Battlefront 2, it's just a matter of whether they have a Battlefront 3 planned and when it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I feel like it's come such a long way, especially more recently, right? That I gotta imagine they're gonna wait out this wave for a good little while. At least I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to so when the whole Wayfinder podcast, we kind of touched on this actually, but basically, Battlefront 2's come such a long way. We obviously had a dodgy launch. The first the first year was pretty tough, but then the second year and the next, the previous last 4 or 5 months have been really good for the game. And the fact that, in December they launched a Celebration Edition, and the player base from December into January doubled because of the Celebration Edition. And I feel like if they were going to cancel, or if they were going to stop development of that game of this game, just like 6 months after they launched Celebration and increased their player base to the highest numbers since January 2018, then I think for me that's just really bizarre, because they've still got a very strong player base, and
Yeah, totally.
to go and just stop just like that there and then, I think would just be I'd be more confused at the decision behind it. If they had a Battlefront 3 plan, then maybe, but kind of
exactly. I mean, like, it would be weird if they just stopped now all of a sudden and didn't have something up their sleeve to work on in its place. Because like, what are they gonna do? Just stop altogether? I mean, that's just.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I was gonna add from my experience with some of the larger studios, right? Like a DICE type, is that they always have something up their sleeves, to Chad's point. So it might not get green lit for actually roll out and go farther along, but I could almost guarantee they probably have a couple options that they're kind of just.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, as well, if you I feel like if you look at the workforce as well, obviously we don't know the actual numbers of how many people are working on the DICE team on Battlefront 2, but they've got quite a lot of people working on the game, I imagine. And then if they were to stop development, it's kind of like, well, where are we going to put all these people? Obviously there's Battlefield 5 currently going on, and obviously there's the future of DICE as well. I think by April next year, there's another 2 games from DICE coming out, and they obviously last year they expanded DICE quite a lot actually in Stockholm, so they'll have a plan. It's just obviously I think we as a community, because we don't know what that plan is yet, and because of a lack of communication more recently, obviously a lot of people are just very worried about that.
Yeah, but there is explanations for it though, isn't there? Like, obviously Ben leaving, and then Kevin being very ill. I mean, they're the 2 main sources of information. Because now that Jay's left as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think you just mentioned Jay. Yeah, obviously he left last year to work on other EA Origin stuff. Ben's obviously just finished as community manager. He's still doing the CT. He's still going to bring out the community transmission and so on. But it's kind of one of those things. I think it's he's still bringing us the CT, but he's not working on the team anymore. So he's basically just waiting to be told, okay, you can put that out, basically.
I can't remember who I was having a discussion with, but we were talking about what Ben's role was. I can't actually remember, but I'm just going to look at his Twitter really quick.
So he's a producer now?
Yeah, producer. Yeah. So what he's actually gone into, is it new Battlefield or?
Yeah, this is the thing. We don't know what this is for. It could be a new Battlefield game. It could be a new Star Wars game. It could be a completely new franchise. I mean, I think ultimately we don't know that.
And
I think it'll be interesting to find out soon enough. But I think we are going to have to just sit on our hands, I think, with this one and just wait it out, unfortunately. Because I mean, that's just the way things are. Obviously, they don't want to release too much information at once, because I don't think from their kind of point of view, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing to do. Because if in terms of like generating hype, if Ben's just obviously left the team and he's all of a sudden like, hey guys, I'm working on this game, and it's like, everyone will be like, oh, that's really cool, we'll get excited for that, and then all of a sudden it's like there's going to be nothing about it for months and months because they can't say anything, and then you lose the hype, and then it comes back again, but not as much. It's kind of one of those things that I think maybe we find out at EA. Well, obviously EA Play's not going to happen this year. They'll release some I think they're releasing the information anyway at some point.
Yeah, they must do.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's actually a topic a little bit later on, but we'll cover it now. So obviously, the current COVID-19 issue, global pandemic right now. Like, I think Oscar, this would be hopefully something that you'd be able to kind of just talk more about. But kind of how has that impacted you as obviously working at 8 Circuit Studios? How has that impacted you guys and your workflows and things like that?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thought it was a perfect segue, but I was trying to wait for the question to talk about it now. Like for us, we're tiny, right? We're tiny, we're indie. and we've been working remotely for 2 years on this project. So it hasn't phased us. If anything, like personally, I could just get a sense of increased competition in that, you know, the game industry is kind of thriving right now as far as releases goes. A lot of people are at home, a lot of people are playing games, so there's even more stuff to compete for eyeballs. But I would imagine, you know, from my experience working with AAA studios, just like the same way all we can do is, you know, get some conjecture together about what DICE might be working on or what other studio is working on behind the scenes, and there's good reason for that. Is these AAA studios are super tight with their secrets, and you know, in my experience, it was almost like a pat down every time you would leave. There's like nothing leaves the studio, nothing but thick black curtains around the windows. So for them to have to adjust to this kind of work from home environment, I gotta imagine it's not just challenging, but there's probably a transition in place. It's like, you know, things like updates probably getting a little more delayed than usual. I would say it's expected.
Yeah. On that note too, what he just said, you know, a lot of people have bashed on the company for no updates or no CTs, which I can understand the frustration, you know, after a long time. But you got to also understand from these developers' perspectives, like they want to get these CTs and transmissions out to us. They want to tell us these things. It's just they can't, and they have to get it, approved by Lucasfilm. And I think that's where a lot of the time takes place, because they're very considerate of the canon, and I don't think enough people understand that. Enough casual people. I mean, I don't expect a lot of casual players to understand that, but you know, that's the more people that understand that reality, the better and healthier the community is going to be overall, especially for Battlefront. And I think if more people understood that, it would be a lot more optimistic and positive.
It's the spot on point. I totally forgot about it. That when Disney's involved, it's just a whole different set of you know, challenges you gotta.
I mean,
DICE goes through Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm goes through Disney, and it's just a huge, thorough process that they got to do for everything. Because in the end, it's their game, you know. It's everything.
Lucasfilm on the cover, isn't it? So
I mean, I think as well that obviously with DICE all moving from home, there's obviously a lot of issues that they've got to kind of figure out and adapt their workflows to that as well. But the fact that obviously this is a global thing, obviously the approval process is quite long anyway, as far as I'm aware. But with Lucasfilm most likely all working from home as well, and they're not all together and things like that, that's going to make the approval process even longer, which therefore obviously means that the updates are going to be even more delayed as well. And yeah, obviously that's a pain in the ass for the community, but it's something that we're going to have to deal with. And obviously the update for Scarif obviously was initially due to come end of March, and we were told mid-April, and we're kind of now in that mid-April period, kind of the whole of this week, and I guess you could kind of class next week as well as this mid-April period. So I'm still expecting, like, the fact that we haven't heard anything yet, I'm still somewhat expecting to see it within the next week or two. But a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people quite understand as well, is that because of what's going on, I think, and the fact that they've changed their workflows up quite a bit as well, is that these things are going to be really difficult to forecast. The fact that these guys aren't used to working from home, and the fact they've had to adapt all these things, they probably like, right, mid-April something with is almost like more of a target, and if it gets delayed, then it gets delayed, and I think it's completely reasonable for that. I've seen in the Battlefront Discord today, I've seen a lot of people kind of complaining about this and stuff like that. Some people understand that there's obviously delays will happen, but it's more just the lack of communication we've had as well. I've seen a lot of people talking about, which I understand the frustration at the lack of communication, but ultimately I feel like if they've got something to say, they'll say it, but you know, there's going to be a lot of times where they're not going to have anything to necessarily give us. And you know, with what Oscar said about you know, a AAA studio being so tight and stuff like that, it's almost like, you know, a simple answer like, you know, it's still in approvals or anything like that. It's kind of, can they say this, can they not? And you know, if they had information to give us, then they probably, I imagine they would have done by now. But it's just one of those situations. It's obviously a very difficult situation for everyone right now, and I think a lot of people are less understanding of the situation, which is unfortunate actually, because it's obviously not nice to see the community being this way. But
yeah, and you have certain people like who have quite a big following who start talking about like the development team and saying it's not good enough, and then it kind of spirals out of control, and everyone just starts hating.
Yeah, exactly. People just jump on the bandwagon, which is really frustrating. It's like, and I feel like if I was a developer, obviously I'm like studying game stuff now and going to university next year for game stuff, and ever since learning, you know, about, you know, how games are created and the industry and stuff like that, I've been more and more kind of, I don't think respectful is quite the right word I'm looking for, but I'm more understanding of the situation they're in, and to see people be the way they are is just really, it's frustrating. And I think you guys might see that I get in Twitter arguments quite a lot, so I apologize about that, but it's so frustrating when people just say these certain things, and then I see it and it's like, I shouldn't get involved really, but it's kind of one of those things that it's like, it really frustrates me.
Because I mean, like, you know, they've already, you know, before this pandemic happened, they've already got all these obstacles they got to go over, and then this all happened within a very short time, might I add.
Yep.
And it's like,
that's the issue, isn't it?
When I see someone, you know, bashing on them, I'm like, well, what do you expect? Like,
You're finished.
They've got to, like, if this happened to you and you were in their shoes, like, what do you're gonna get everything done quickly? Like, no, like it's just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope the developers probably stay off social media, maybe not all the time, but just a little bit. Because when you're working on such IP like this, then you understand like the magnitude of your work. Because I think it's kind of like a professional athlete probably stays off social media, but some are kind of gravitated towards it because they can't help but see what people are saying. But if they're gonna spin it positively, it's just that, like, at least it's demonstrating that how many people care, right? Like, when nobody's talking about you, that's a different problem. The fact that you're making this much noise, that many people care, it's also a pretty nice place to be in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's actually a good point, because I feel like, you know, if I was working at DICE and I was, you know, obviously working on Battlefront 2, the fact that everyone's talking about it, like, I know that I can see the passion in the players, and I think that is, you know, obviously a big reason why people do, you know, are the way they are. It's because of that passion they have for not only Star Wars but the actual game itself, and they really obviously enjoy playing it. And I do appreciate that, but sometimes it feels like they don't take into the consideration that, you know, these developers are, you know, they're actual human beings with feelings and emotions all that stuff, and it's just, you know, and I feel like a lot of these almost more obscene comments come from people with a lack of understanding for overall game development, stuff like that. Obviously, I don't expect people to understand how 3D modeling or texturing works. I don't expect anyone to go and learn all of that, but people with a kind of a more, even just a basic understanding, will be able to appreciate kind of how much work goes into just one character, for example, and will therefore be less kind of...
Yeah, I mean, they said that it takes months to make one outfit. I mean, that's crazy.
You know, Apex Legends? One character for Apex Legends from start to finish takes about 16 to 18 months.
Wow.
So, yeah. Because this is the thing.
I mean,
there's so many processes involved. It's not as simple as, you know, just, for one character, the amount of concept arts that they'll have to, that they'll go through and eventually pick what they, essentially pick the final outfit. But then there's also all the pre-production work that goes into it and figuring out the abilities, because obviously a certain ability can, may well influence the way a character looks, because the, maybe just the personality and things like that. And then once you've chosen the way it looks, you're going to be looking for your voice actors, but then you've got the modeling process, animation, rigging, texturing, making it work in engine, like so many things that, again, there's so much more I didn't mention, but there are so many processes involved for just one thing that, it is going to take a lot
and they have
of
to
time,
think about what they want to focus on working on, because I'll admit it, I used to think a lot of the time, like, oh, they just don't want to make this because they're rather focusing their efforts on something else, which is fine, and they're focusing their efforts on something else. But I totally underestimated how much time it goes into making such small things for games these days, because of how complex these engines are. And making it work on different, whether it be a robe or whatever on Anakin or something. I'm just giving that as an example. You got to mold it, and then you got to take all these precautions for when if there's issues that come afterwards and stuff. It's just a landmine, and developers say it all the time. It's like you create something nice, and then it gets totally, it blows up, and then it's just a repeat process. I've seen it from more developers than I can count, and it's pretty funny, but that's the reality of it. That's the reality of game development and those kinds of things. But it's about how much passion you put into it, and people just need to be more understanding of these things.
100%.
And patient.
Yes.
But it doesn't help that people are stuck. It doesn't help that people are stuck at home right now. With
totally.
Little to do. But I mean, I've got many escape outlets aside from Star Wars. As much as I love it, I'm obsessed with Star Wars. But I've got other things to go to, and I think that's just
people just want to play Scarif. I think people are just waiting at home. They want to play Scarif, and then they're not seeing anything, and I think that's what's annoying people. But exactly. It's like a question of who do you actually get to announce things now, because obviously no community manager, and it's a question of who is going to replace Ben and when, and then I mean, I know I've heard a few names, but I don't know how realistic they are and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Going back to the whole development process, Oscar, would you kind of be able to explain, I think, more to everyone here about about kind of more bugs and issues like that? Because obviously, let's say for Battlefront 2, I've created a new hero, and obviously before going out into the live game, you're going to be testing pretty much, throwing everything at it, trying to break it as much as you can and doing all these fixes. But obviously once you go up, once you push an update onto live servers, then bugs, appear. And obviously a lot of people criticize Battlefront 2 for the amount of bugs it has and things, but kind of, I guess my question is kind of, why is it we see bugs appear before, after an update goes live, as opposed to them not being fixed before?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I'll preface this by saying I'm not a developer, right? I work on the business side here as a community manager, but it has enabled me to be in close proximity to them, in different studios. And like what I have learned is that it's almost like that old, I don't know, cartoon of water leaking through a wall, right? Like there's one hole and then you plug it, and then like two pop up. You plug those two, and then like three pop up. And especially on the team I'm on right now, like we could get pretty frustrated. Like we see this bug, like, hey, we can't ship this update with this bug. And you work all hard, and then like we're excited because like here we go, we finally got it. And then next thing you know, this other thing that was even worse than that other bug pops up, right? But it is kind of like why I enjoy live game development such as like Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like you can constantly evolve, you can constantly push out updates and fix things. Other studios that I've worked at that are not live, more like the traditional model where you pack it and you send it out and good luck. That's tough. You have a whole QA team that's just dedicated, and I know you could walk into any of those studios, and if you really want to get a gist of how good is this game and how confident are you, just go to the QA department. They're the ones who will give you like the real lowdown
the unsung heroes
on how the game's playing. Yep, totally.
Absolutely. So kind of when an update goes live, more bugs. Am I right in saying that essentially certain things can break when pushing out onto live servers, and then more bugs can appear from that, or?
Yeah, it's been my experience in that when you go live, it's just like a whole different monster. Especially when you go live at scale, like you never really know what to expect. But I think we've been pretty fortunate that most of the time on the teams that I've worked out, I think every studio has that one story of something that was just terrible disaster. But generally, when you're all ready, you're ready, and you'll find bugs. But it's just that the team will say like, well, that's a bug that we can live with. It's the difference between a bug that let's say an outfit that's appearing wrong in a couple of pixels on a certain map, as opposed to something that's really just game breaking. The latter is what you really want to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean that's the thing. Like, I appreciate bugs in games are very frustrating, and some may even be quote game breaking, but I think from stories from EA in general, the Frostbite engine is such a complex engine to work on and to work with, and you always see bugs in Battlefront. Battlefield is the same as well, and I think I understand the frustration with lots of bugs and things like that, but again, I think people need to be a little bit more understanding that these things do happen, and that's why we have bug fixes. That's why we have like just general hot fixes, like a week after an update. That's why we have just general patches. Might not have content. In Rainbow Six Siege in year 2, I think that was Operation Health, and that basically just focused on fixing bugs and all these different issues within the game as well. And obviously, like we were just saying, as soon as you might have an update pretty much ready to go, and DICE's internal playtests, everything might be absolutely fine and happy to go. Everyone might feel fairly balanced. There's not going to necessarily be any Vader choke bug or whatever. But then as soon as you push that update live, then things will start to go wrong. I mean, I've heard some people, I don't know if this is correct, but basically some people saying the code essentially breaks or whatever. But these things happen. The Frostbite engine is a complicated engine. Obviously, this is more just talking about EA stuff. But I just think if people were more understanding of it, that would be.
Yeah, nice. It's kind of like I mean, this is a weird tangent, but I worked in restaurants, right? Back when I was going through college, university, and I've always said like, man, you got to work in a restaurant to really understand how to be patient with a server or a bartender. But in the same way, like something I've learned recently here as an indie studio is like you have to develop all the platforms yourself. So something that like the database that just manages all the profile information. That's something that you connect it to the game and the online interface. So just a whole bunch of different running components.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like you connect them all together. Kind of never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like with a game development it really is a team sport. You do have all of these teams essentially just working to this one goal, and the fact that, again, let's just say on one character you've got the whole 2D side of things, but then you've got the actual modeling process, texturing, rigging, animation, all these things. Right. Everyone relies on each other, and so there are going to be times where things do go wrong, and obviously as a developer or just someone who's working on the game themselves, you obviously got to be patient with that, but obviously you're more understanding, and then sometimes trying to explain that to the communities, it can be very difficult, which I get that things do get lost in translation sometimes. Some people might not understand certain elements of things, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish everybody out there had the same kind of like understanding foresight that you guys have, right? Because it's an unforgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
there's so many people out there that are like, well, why why couldn't they just do this? Why couldn't they just do this? It's like, you really don't understand that it does not work like that.
And then when you try to explain it, you get called a shill, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
like,
it's the worst.
why? Oh, it's just...
and might I add, Battlefront content is free. It's free.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
Like, how lucky are we to have free content for this game?
Yeah, and for so long as well. For as long as we
big
have.
studio. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that, excuses every problem, but, I'm just saying, in that point, consider that. Because every company has their bad mistakes and whatnot, and, big things happen, but, you just gotta learn to accept that, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alright, has anyone else got anything to add on to that before moving on?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. Excellent. Right, what is next?
YouTube.
So yeah, okay, we're also going to touch a bit on YouTube as well. Then we'll at the end we'll come back to Oscar about what he's working on at the moment as well. But yeah, so YouTube. I mean, obviously, I don't know Chad and Oscar how much.
You keep cutting out for me.
Am I okay?
Yeah.
Am I okay now? Or
I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So I don't know Chad and Oscar how much an experience you kind of have with YouTube or not. And I know Nick, you've obviously got a channel that's booming right now with the 1 million view video on that one. But I guess, what are your experiences with YouTube? I guess is kind of the first question.
Oscar, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
I could go first just because I got the most to learn here. I think out of the four of us, so I'm interested to hear what you guys say. But little tip that I've learned is we do a pretty decent job of kind of getting noticed on different platforms, let's say like Reddit. Mm-hmm. So if I could generate the views somewhere else on a video, then that helps me kind of get like a nice boost that I need. Otherwise, I wouldn't get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Chad, how about yourself?
I hadn't really had much YouTube experience before working with Mr. Gruntington, so that's been a real blast, and I think I've learned a lot from really doing it and putting ourselves out there and getting into the community. Because I mean, I wasn't really a part of this whole community with you guys and all of these different Star Wars Battlefront members and expanded until probably right before I went to Star Wars Celebration in April. I think that's when I really started getting involved in the direct community. And because I was on social media and Twitter a little bit, like seeing Dennis during Battlefront 2015 and stuff like that talk. But I think YouTube has it really from a personal side, it really helps with self-confidence too. But 100%. I think it's just it's been really fun, and I think getting out there and interacting with different people is what's important, and connections. It's all about connections.
Yeah.
And here, I mean, just like this right now, and it really helps expand your viewpoints on different topics, and considering we're all from different parts of the world too. And I think it's really helped with that. Other than that, I'm not as serious as you guys, but I'm good. I'm learning.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool, actually. Nick, how about yourself? Because you've been there for quite some time. Am I right? 2015 Battlefront, or
it was. So I think what I originally did was I started making really terrible funny moments videos, really, really terrible ones, like because I saw the likes of Some Lucky Boy and I was like, wow, that's something I could potentially do.
Yeah.
So I tried things like that, and then I think that was around about the Death Star DLC in Battlefront 2015.
Okay. Yep.
Then I bought myself a capture card and just started recording stuff, and then trying to make other videos. And then I started streaming and really loved it. And I found that people were kind of interacting with me and people were subscribing, so it seemed to work.
Yeah.
And then, so I think it was in the summer one year, I did a couple of I think I did about 2 weeks where I just streamed for about 2 or 3 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And over those 2 weeks, I grew in subscribers every single day. Like it was going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And then I went on a holiday, or I like started school or something again, and I couldn't do it. But I was starting to like gain traction, and so it just became like an intermittent thing. When I was free, I occasionally did a stream or something, but then the viewership kind of died down, and then came along the recorder covers, because in some random streams I'd just pull out a recorder and start playing, and people would really like it.
Yeah.
And I'd also start doing some like random impressions of some like Battlefront YouTubers and stuff, and people just loved it. So I made a few videos on that kind of, and then now I'm sitting at like 1,065,000 views on one of my recorder covers.
That's insane. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that one just like completely. How long ago had you put that out before it reached 1 million? Because wasn't it?
Well, it was 2 years. Let me just have a quick look. It was, I think I uploaded it in. Yeah, it's 2 years ago, and it was sitting at about 8,000 views or something. And then this January, I just looked at my YouTube. I hadn't really uploaded anything for maybe a year, and then I looked at my YouTube Creator Studio, and then the numbers just started going up and up and up, and I got 150,000 views in one day.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it was just mad.
That's insane. So it's just one of those things that just all like you posted it ages ago, and then all of a sudden it just boomed.
Yeah, it's really mad.
That's crazy.
From watching other people, it's just it's getting that momentum and that traction going. You know, because that's what people are attracted to. It seems like.
Yeah, they like recorder covers. I think that's what people really want.
Absolutely, it's just that kind of random meme kind of content that people do enjoy, and that's the thing as well. Like you just sometimes randomly tweet just saying Star Wars, just like randomly, and it's like, like I don't know why, but it's just it's funny, and people enjoy that. And it's like, yup, Star Wars.
So it comes from so when I think I was on about 200 subscribers or something, and I was streaming, and I was having a really good session. And then some people who I looked up to massively in like the YouTube community, they all randomly started coming into my chat like at the same time. So there was
like almost raided sort of thing. Or...
Yeah, but it was like Azatru, River Thames, Harrison James, and then I was really confused as to why they were all coming in. And then after the stream, they invited me to their little community.
Yeah, that's
and that was about 3 years ago or something. And then it just kind of grew from there. I became really good friends with them, and now I've met up with them all in real life and stuff. So
yeah, that's insane. I mean, that's the thing. Like with my experience, I started back in August 2017 streaming Battlefront 2015. I did that for about a month, and then the Battlefront 2 beta came out. I did that I did a stream on that for 7 hours. I literally I skived off school, I'll be honest, and I streamed for 7 hours straight, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, in that 7 hours I had 18 views in total, but I had so much fun playing the game. As soon as that I stopped randomly. I just stopped, and then I didn't start up again really until January 2018. But since then I've been fairly consistent for just over the last 2 years now. And one of the first few people I met was I was just streaming randomly one day. I was very close to 100 subs, and a rogue. He was called the Battlefront, but he's now a rogue Jedi. So that's Benji, and he lives in Australia, and he just randomly came into my stream. He started talking, and then he shared my stream on Twitter and got me to 100. He got me to 100 subs, and since then I've streamed with him countless times. He lost his channel a couple months ago, and he's just hit 1K again yesterday. But it's kind of one of those things that I met Benji, and then within a week of meeting Benji, I met a good friend of mine, GN Legend, and from there I just kept meeting more and more people, and now it's like just from all over the world as well. And like Chad said, it's really about those connections as well. Like I've met so many amazing people that I know I've got friends for life sort of thing, and it's all because of just playing video games and streaming them on YouTube and making content for that.
Right, because you said it helped when Sammy shouted out for you as well.
Yeah,
right.
So Sammy
like
Boy,
things like that. It's, it's a community.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, there are obviously there are going to be times where things go wrong or not quite how everyone would like, but ultimately we're all here for the same thing. We are all here for Battlefront 2, and it's nice to see it's nice to see people coming together for the same reason. And and I think one of the things that I'm looking forward to working on Wayfinder is meeting other people and working with other creators and people within the community as well. And I feel like obviously, Nick, you're with Daily Battlefront, and I think we with both of those teams, we've got unique opportunities to kind of put different content out there, work with other people, meet other people as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to work with your friends on these projects really, and see where it can take them. I mean, I think for me in general, really, I mean, in terms of YouTube itself, it's kind of like, I stayed consistent for a few months, had a bad summer the first year, stayed consistent again the next summer, kind of it took its toll a bit because I was just inconsistent, wasn't uploading that much. But in September I was like, right, okay, I'm going to start a schedule. So I started an upload schedule back in September 2019, and since then I was on like 1,200 subs, and since then, well, I'm like 10 away from 2K now. So it's, I mean, if anything, if anyone in, well, obviously you guys or anyone in the chat as well, I think kind of a tips thing really would just be create a schedule and stick to it as much as you possibly can, because the YouTube algorithm loves that. And obviously also just meet other people, don't be afraid to go into other people's streams and kind of meet other people and build a community, because ultimately it's going to be that community that helps push you through it. Like if I was doing this on my own and without a community, apart from when people watching, if I didn't have a community, I feel like I would be pretty bored, because I wouldn't have all my friends just to talk to on a daily basis or discuss Battlefront or just things in general. And I think having these connections really do help with that.
I think one of the people always say only make videos that you want to make, like that you enjoy doing, or only stream a game that you want to that you enjoy, not just because it's popular or whatever. But I think a massive thing is you need to find the right balance, and that's the same with like loads of things in life. But you need to actually sit down and think, what am I going to do that people are going to like, that I can make, that I'm going to enjoy. That's not just I enjoy making this, but no one's going to watch it, because at the end of the day, no one's going to really watch something that isn't very popular, for example. But you've got to still enjoy it.
Exactly. Because on that note, I'm not like obsessive with growing my current art Instagram account right now. But my audience is Star Wars fans. My general audience is Clone Wars fans, and I've talked about this with my other friend. My posts that revolve around clone troopers blow up, and then I'll make something for like an anime I watch, or a different video game series, or even Link. Those things get way less attention, but I still love making these art pieces. It's just understanding what my community comes to, and that's fine. It's exactly finding that balance. What Nick said. If you want your, especially if you want your platform to grow, essentially.
Because I mean, the way I kind of see it is, I do almost see, I mean, for me, obviously it is like a massive hobby and stuff like that, but I really want to grow this as far as I can. I want to be able to take this full time, and I think the best way for me to look at it is almost like a little business, really. And I gotta, ultimately I gotta decide what my audience is enjoying, and make more of that. Like if I try, you know, over the last like 2 weeks, I've tried 2 different video series. One was kind of looking at Star Wars media and seeing what weapons they could add to Battlefront 2, and then the other one was essentially the opposite: what weapons are in Battlefront 2 already and where have they come from within Star Wars, basically. And people seem to quite enjoy those. Kind of, firstly, you know, for the first video series, more for the speculative piece, because I think people like speculation. But then for the second series, people, I think I posted the first one yesterday, and people seem to enjoy learning the lore and where certain things came from with the weapons in the game. And I think I really enjoyed making those videos, but also people enjoyed watching them as well, you know, which is great. But then obviously it is also a case of, you know, if I think at the moment my top 5 plays series is one of my least better performing ones, and obviously it's not nice to necessarily see that, but you know, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I enjoy making them, and obviously a lot of people do top 5 plays anyway, but it's just, I think for me that is the case more. I enjoy making them, and I think people enjoy interacting with that and sending it in anyway, really. So it's kind of, you do need to find the right balance as well, but don't think, another thing I guess is more of a mental, I think with anything creative really, is don't look at it like a chore as well. Just, if you enjoy doing it, just work with that.
Exactly.
And especially, you know, obviously it's all well and good, you know, I just said about how I want to kind of think of it as a little business. So obviously I want my channel to perform well, I want to grow as much as I can and all that stuff, but don't get too worked up over the numbers as well. If a video doesn't blow up like you were hoping to, that's fine. Just keep on pushing, because if you stick to that upload schedule, like I mentioned earlier, if you stick to an upload schedule, then the YouTube algorithm will pick that up, and especially if there's a niche for it as well, then that will really, that will eventually take you far. So I think kind of the main things really.
It's it's true for whatever platform you're trying to grow on, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's streaming on Twitch or like, even so, the whole thing about Daily Battlefront, I was just talking to River one day. I was like, should we, no one really has got anything like that, let's just do it. So then he started making graphics, I started like making the accounts and everything, got it together, got Finn in, just started posting things regularly with consistent graphics and everything, and then it just takes off. And then absolutely. From there now, almost 8,000 followers.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. I mean, I was very surprised actually to think that there wasn't any account like that before. And when you started it up, I was like, that was a great idea. You guys took it off really well. The quality was there. Everything about the account was, spot on. And I think, a lot of people can rely on you three. You got a couple of you now actually, haven't you? So, people can rely on you guys. You do a great job with posting, consistently, but also good quality as well. And I think, you found that niche as well. Like you said, it works for any platform. You looked at what people enjoy. Obviously, you were all Battlefront focused, but there was a niche for a whole kind of that kind of account, whether it's posting news or clips or whatever. There was a niche for that, and you essentially filled that in. And obviously, here we are today. You've been going for just over a year now, am I right? Yeah, so just over a year, and you're at 8,000 followers, which is, it's just incredible. You've clearly done a really good job with that, and it just goes to show that sticking, staying consistent with it, then, and just keep on pushing is gonna get you there.
It's just like looking at it, it just sometimes I just forget about the number, and I look at, wow, that's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And then you look at some of the statistics, and it's like we get some months we'll get like 400,000 impressions or something, and then some months we'll get almost 3 million impressions, and it's that kind of thing, that you're reaching that many people with such a tiny little idea. I can't believe it sometimes. And then to think that you have things like, occasionally you have like an influx in followers from a certain post or whatever, but then you look, and then occasionally you get a person who you really respect, like the general manager of DICE follows us and stuff like that, and it's just like that kind of thing makes you go,
crazy.
whoa.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That actually leads on to a really good point, which is to, do check analytics. Because, you might have a video that only gets, let's say you've got in my case, for example, I'm nearly on 2,000 subs. And let's say I have a video that only gets 80 views or something. Like, I'd be, like, looking at it again with that kind of business mind, I'd be somewhat, disappointed with that. But if I check the analytics and I go like, okay, how many impressions has this got? And let's say, I don't know what my average for that is, but I could look at it and think, right, okay, it's only got 80 views, but how many impressions has it got? And it's been like, right, okay, this has actually been seen like 1,000, maybe like 1,000 times. It's like, that's, you kind of look at that and you think that's actually quite amazing. Like, yeah, okay, it's only 80 views, but it's been seen by 1,000 people. What can I do? And then look at that and think, what can I do better? And obviously, the two most important things to capture that audience is obviously the thumbnail and the title. And it's like, okay, well, if I had a better thumbnail, better title, maybe it gets more views. It's been seen by 1,000 people, but maybe a better thumbnail might get me up to like 150 views or something as well. Tags are obviously very important as well when you're uploading a video. You've got all these tags.
Make a super clickbaity thumbnail.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I think
super massive news drop.
One of the biggest examples I can find, like of that in the Battlefront community, as a true, he started doing like Call of Duty and other GTA content a long time ago, and then as soon as Battlefront came, he picked that up when he had like not many subscribers, and then he just like, I don't think he didn't get that many views when he started doing Battlefront at all. He really didn't, and he carried on, and he still didn't get that many views. And he'd do live streams, he wouldn't get many views. He'd keep putting videos, and he didn't get many views. But you look at him now, when he's getting EA brand deals like constantly and roping in thousands of views every day.
Yeah, I mean, he's full time now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, and you think about that, and you're like, okay, so I mean, for me, like, when did he start his channel? Actually, was it basically like, as soon as Battlefront 1 came out, or like?
No, he started 2012 or something like that, but then he barely had any following.
Yeah,
I think he must have had like a couple of thousand subscribers, something like that, but he wasn't really getting any viewership.
Yeah, okay. So he obviously it's all well and good saying like, oh yeah, I've got 10,000 subscribers, but then you could only have like, maybe 100 views per video sort of thing, and like the subs don't really count as such. It is all about those views, and I think if he had 2K subs already, that obviously that's great, but if he's not getting much views, then to go into a brand new game, obviously like Battlefront 2015, it would be difficult. But let's ignore, I mean, obviously not necessarily ignore, but if you look at the start of Battlefront 2015 to where he is now, like 5 years later, essentially, he's full time, doing what he loves, and he's at I think he's just hit, or he's very close to hitting 75,000, and it's just
74.
It's crazy, really, isn't it? Because when you look at all these big YouTubers going full time, it's like they've all got so many millions or hundreds of thousands, and it's like, but then you look at Azatru and he's like 74k subs going full time, and for someone like me who's only just about to get 2k, to see that, I think for me is kind of, it is a bit of a motivational point, being like, I can, if I stick to what I'm doing, I can get there as well.
You can, because you have.
I know you can, because you have the perfect personality to get there.
I appreciate it.
It's the kind of content. It's the community building content.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I have 3k subs, but those people are not like 2k. 2,000 of those came from just that one video blowing up, so they don't know who I am. They don't know anything about what I've done or anything. It's
definitely to your credit, Split. I want to give you props on your branding, right? Because I see that helmet. I already know exactly who who it is. Where this content's coming from.
Yeah,
we were actually talking about that the other day too.
We were. I mean, this is the thing. Like, over the last kind of year and a half since I've had this Trooper helmet design, it's kind of like, I mean, I can't take credit for the actual like artwork, the overall design. Like I did the design because I really quickly like sketched it out, and then someone did the original one for me, and then a good friend of mine as well then basically updated it to what it is now. But I don't ever want to like change that, because people, like, if people see this clone helmet, then they might, you know, essentially, like, you know, maybe a few years down the line where I've got more subs or whatever and I'm more kind of known, then people are going to see that helmet and like know that that's me. And a big kind of aspiration of mine is to get is to actually go and buy some proper phase 2 clone armor from the guys who actually kind of make that stuff. There's one guy on Instagram called Jason Props who does some awesome work for that, and I'd love to kind of commission a phase 2 clone armor and get that Trooper design that I've got, because then, you know, if I went to Star Wars Celebration, for example, and if, you know, even just a very small portion, you know, even just like if 2 or 3 people know who I am, then they might come up to me and, you know, be like, oh my god, you know, it's you, sort of thing. Like that, I feel like I get such a buzz out of that, and I think you know, I can't see myself wanting to change like the way I look, because people will know me from that. I think that is important in terms of consistency as well. If you kept changing the way you know, in terms of the overall branding, if you kept changing the way you look, whether it was just your name or your logo, then people are gonna almost disassociate themselves from that.
That's a very good point. Consistent
mm-hmm.
branding, unless you're just gonna have a big overhaul because you need something to change.
Of course.
It's like fair enough, but
mm-hmm.
if you stick with the logo, like I've had this since I started, the one I have now, which was just it was when I originally started streaming on Twitch, and then from school was like, oh, I'll make you a logo, and I was like, okay, and they're like, what do you want? I was like, half of like my face with a stormtrooper. She's like, okay, so she did it, and I'm still here with it now. So
I mean, that's the thing. Like as soon as I see that logo, like I know exactly who you are. Same with Chad as well. Ever since I've known Chad over these last several months, like this, you know, his logo is exactly how I see him. And I mean, even the same with Oscar. I mean, I've known Oscar from Twitter for, I can't remember how long now. It's been a good few months, but every time I see the profile picture, I'm like, yep, that's you. And I think it really, you know, I think some people might underestimate especially if it's a kind of a YouTube or Twitch account, or even a portfolio. And I think, you know, branding is really important, and kind of keeping consistent with that is, you know, super important as well. 100%.
There's an interesting crossover with people who are in who are, say, game developers and in branding and like community management and stuff. So like Ben, for example, it's just his personal account, but then he's also the used to be community manager, but then you have also Kevin, he's got an alias of Total FPS, and he has a logo and a Twitch handle that isn't his name, because he probably originally intended it just for gaming. But then there's an interesting crossover that sometimes as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely, because that's the thing. If someone, a lot of the time, actually, I saw it in the Battlefront Discord server today, and someone mentioned Kevin by name, and then someone's like, "Oh, who's Kevin?" And then they're like, everyone was like straight away Total FPS, and then that's kind of someone then essentially, you know, he knew who Total FPS was, but he didn't know he was actually called Kevin. And it's like, it is crazy. I mean, if you set up that, you know, the whole Total FPS thing is almost like a brand image, and you know, he's set that up and had that for God knows how many years, and you know, people will now know him by that.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, if he just went and completely changed it now, then people would, I mean, if they were following his account anyway and knew the change, then yeah, fair enough. But if you weren't that active, then you might be confused as to who it is and maybe unfollow or something like that. It's just kind of one of those minor things, really.
How did you come up with split screen? When did it come to you, and how did it come to you?
So that's an excellent question. In terms of the name, so I have an identical twin brother who is sat next to me. You guys can't see him, but he's just waving the camera. But basically, you know, it's kind of the whole biological thing with how identical twins work. That sounds a bit weird. But that biological, you know, essentially split into two. The fact that we're identical twins, kind of that side of thing kind of works into it, but it's more a case of we grew up with Star Wars Battlefront 2004, 2005, Lego Star Wars, and we would constantly play split screen co-op and, you know, local play on there. So because we were identical twins and we used to play split screen, that kind of those two came together. So like the biological side of things and the way we used to game merged together, kind of perfectly to come to that name. And again, like even the whole branding thing, like I've really considered, like there were so many times within the first year that I considered changing the name, and I don't know if anyone like here remembers it now in terms of the chat, but you know, I've had so many like, I kind of want to change it because the name didn't seem too Star Wars, and I was kind of worried about that. But then, especially now, like it doesn't have to be a Star Wars like name.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
River, and I think it actually makes it. I would argue it could make it better that it's not, because I'm not. You know, I don't know. I don't know why. I think it makes it better, you know. And if you do want to expand, like it's safe that way. You know, it's better that way. Like, what are you gonna? I mean, Battlefront updates. He has a separate channel for Battlefield, right? I think. Yeah, exactly.
Unleashed, is it?
Like he doesn't do Battlefield stuff on his Battlefront account.
Yeah.
I mean, he might tweet stuff from it, but that's I feel like that, like, you know, that he's got a video up or whatever to help support it. But you know, I think that makes it better that it's not Star Wars centralized. Not to bash anyone out there that does have that, but you know, I would just, you know, that's the reality of it, and I think that makes it better.
Yeah, because I mean, if I was to, you know, because like I said, again, the whole business thing, I really want to be able to take my YouTube career not just from streaming video games and making video content on these games, but I'd love to be able to take it into, you know, with me learning game stuff now, like next year, you know, next academic year, so in September, the university course I'm starting is on game art and virtual production. So virtual production in Unreal Engine, it's a really new and recent workflow. It was used in The Mandalorian and stuff like that. So it's kind of new stuff, and I really want to be able to take myself, you know, obviously start here on YouTube, but then take that further into like an actual creative career where maybe I start up a company and we start off by making a video game, and then that launches, and then hope, you know, obviously all things going well, are able to expand even further, so that maybe I've got a small team working on a video game every now and again, whether it's live service or not, and then, you know, maybe go into other things like, you know, just visual effects stuff or virtual production or whatever. Like I'd love to, you know, this is only the beginning, and I really want to build up into something bigger. And the fact that I have the whole, you know, split screen name, I feel like I can almost take that even further. And when I was setting up my website for college, you know, it's just a Wix website, but when I was setting that up, I had I initially called it like Split Screen Interactive. Like, it's such a basic name, but I could use, you know, that's something I could go and use in other things, whether it is starting up a company or whatever. But yeah, that's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, because I mean, if you named your account like Battlefront 2 Gaming Central, blah 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 blah, you know, this whole long thing, you know, like,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, first of all, that's gonna draw me away, because I'm gonna be like, oh, okay,
kind of cringe.
Like for a number of reasons, it's just gonna like want me to back off from that account. But also, like, okay, after Battlefront 2 is done,
what next?
What are you gonna do with your account? I mean, you could rebrand it, but you know, I don't know. Like,
it obviously would be a lot of hassle. I mean, if you did start Battlefront in Battlefront 2015, and you do have a really, Battlefront Gamer Pro or whatever, and as soon as Battlefront 2 ends development, if there's no Battlefront 3, then it's kind of like, oh god, now I've got to, if you've built up a pretty good following from that as well, then it's kind of like, okay, well, now I probably want to go and rebrand all of my accounts, and it's kind of like, it's gonna be a lot of hassle. Obviously, it's gonna be difficult. Obviously, like Elliot, Battlefront updates, he's got, everyone knows it. Battlefront updates, I do think is a really solid name. And
I think everyone knows Battlefront updates too, because he was one of the first people to acquire that type of name. That's the difference between like what I said in Battlefront updates too, is like, I don't know, you gotta go ahead of the game, and that's how it is. Like, he was one of the first to acquire that kind of names, and now like most people know who he is now because he was the first and like one of the originals. So
I do really feel for Elliot though, because he had to step away from it.
Yeah, because
he could be really, really massive.
Yeah,
it was just trolls, and he's I do feel.
That's the thing as well. Like, it's kind of going back to, I mean, it wasn't necessarily just the general community, but it's just that kind of select few people that you kind of find anywhere really, and it's just a real shame how big of an influence people in the community can really have. Whether it's let's say you launch a game, you release a game, or you release an update and all of the feedback's really negative, then it's going to be really, depending on your overall work ethic, you might not be very motivated for that anymore, which is obviously a massive shame. And obviously with Elliot having to deal with all of that stuff, and then hopefully he'll be able to come back soon, but it just is a real shame because of these people acting childish in the way they are, then he's lost out on so many opportunities to not only grow his channel, but also to kind of potentially grow himself as a person, or to essentially just grow his brand and have all these opportunities. He's unfortunately lost all of that potential for like a whole year almost because of people acting the way they are, and it really is a shame.
Yeah, it is. He's like the Westie of the Battlefront community.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that as soon as Battlefront updates went quiet, it was just really, it felt really strange because someone we've known for so long is just not really around that much. I mean, he pops up every now and again and things like that, but it's just it felt so weird to think that he wasn't here, because it would always be a case of like, we pretty much stream at a similar time. Obviously he's out there with a couple hundred people, and I'm out maybe at the time maybe like 8 people, and it's like, well, I'd finish my stream, he'd still be up for maybe another hour, and I'd go and watch, and everyone would be there having fun, and it'd be like, it was a great thing to do, but now it's not there anymore. It's a real shame.
Yeah, it's Quinn Knight or Battlefront Knight that's taken it.
Yeah. Clickbait.
What's he on now? It's on 219,000 subscribers.
Yeah. This is another thing as well. Another nice top tip for you guys: don't clickbait just to get views. Obviously, it's kind of a nice.
It's not worth it. It really isn't.
This is the thing. You might think, okay, I have, I'll clickbait for one video, and that might get like 10,000 views instead of like 500 that you normally get. You're like, whoa, that was really good. I'm gonna keep on doing that, and it's like.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. It'll become an addiction because you're like,
it's toxic.
I'm doing good.
You see the money coming, and you're like, I need some more of it.
Yeah, and
it's like you're not doing good for the right reason. And
yeah. And this is another thing. It's just you'd be known for the wrong reasons as well. You'd be known as a clickbaiter, and you wouldn't want to get involved with the community and stuff. Like, you don't see Battlefront Night or Quinn Night anywhere, do you? You literally see him on YouTube, and you just don't see him at all.
Yeah, exactly. He was a COD YouTuber who knew what he was doing, was bored of COD, and saw a massive opportunity. Because the Battlefield community didn't have, and it was struggling for someone big to look to, and he came in with his knowledge of clickbait and just took the YouTube scene out of Battlefield Update.
It's so frustrating because, like, you know, it's just annoying. I mean, he's getting loads of views and he's probably loving it, and he probably doesn't care about the community either. But I wouldn't want to be known, like, in 10 years' time to have clickbaited people, given out a ton of misinformation. I don't want to be hated. I want, you know, I mean, I don't, you know, I don't obviously expect people to look up to me or anything like that, but, you know, I want to, you know, make these connections, and I want to have friends within the community. And, you know, if I'm not clickbaiting people, if I'm actually making genuine, solid content that people are enjoying, then again, from a business perspective, my overall business as a channel would be hopefully attractive to different development studios to maybe have those opportunities. Like, you won't ever see Quinn Knight or Battlefield Knight, whatever he's called, you won't see him getting these opportunities from EA and other studios. But if you know, with Azatru, we'll use Azatru as an example, you know, he makes genuine, solid content that people really enjoy, and he's got all these, you know, he's going full time, he's got all these really good opportunities.
It's honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's good, honest content, and that is what is most important. I mean, yeah, okay, it's going to take longer to get to where it's going to, you know, if you have someone with 100k, you know, subs from someone who clickbaited, you're probably going to get there a little bit quicker. But then people are going to slowly start to realise, and then eventually in years to come, people are going to stop watching content. I mean, look at Mike Zero with Star Wars. You know, Mike Zero, for those who aren't aware, he's got over 200,000 subs on YouTube, and he makes genuine, like, he makes about 3 or 4 videos a day, about clickbait, random fake Star Wars news, and it's bizarre. And you think, how is he still doing this? I mean, the only reason he makes 3 to 4 videos a day is so that he can support himself to keep going full time. Because he gets, like, you know, he might have a video that gets like 20k views, but a lot of his other videos only are like a couple thousand. And with a channel of his size, that's like, well, it's definitely not enough to keep you going full time, is it? And it's just
no. It's very laughable, Mike Zero.
Yeah, exactly. And people are gonna, and that's the thing. That's a typical thing where you clickbait, you get a load of views, and then people slowly start to realise, and then your channel will just drop off. Whereas if you actually keep making good, honest content, it's going to be, like, the travel time's going to be a little bit slower, but ultimately you will, you know, go ahead of the curve, and you will start to grow. And it's kind of that almost more, you know, with, I think with Mike Zero, it's kind of, or anyone who's, you know, clickbaiting, you'll grow exponentially, but then it'll stagnate it'll stagnate at some point. But then with someone who, you know, makes decent, honest content, then it's like, you know, you might see a fairly steady curve, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're getting into your groove, and then you'll grow exponentially, and that'll keep on going for longer. And then, you know, there are going to be some times where it stagnates or it just matures a little bit, but then you will keep on going up. And that is what we see with, I feel like that is genuinely what we see with just YouTube in general, whether it's clickbaiting or not.
You also got people like Silo as well.
Oh, God. Don't. Oh, God.
Silo is...
Yeah, I mean,
I'm really thankful I've had the chance to actually expand and meet like a ton of great YouTubers. But, you know, I have met my number of bad YouTubers, or YouTubers that started out good and then evolved into like just I don't want to say disaster, but they got carried away, man. That's I'm not. Yeah, I don't know how it sucks, because I've watched some of those channels too. Like, I was like a big fan of them, and they were who I went to, and then they evolved in the clickbait and stuff like this, and it sucks. But I still see other people that have really kept it loyal and honest, and those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, to carry it away in what sense? You mean like clickbait type of sense?
Yeah. Clickbait, or just
Chasing likes.
Yeah, just chasing likes, getting scummy with the community, or not caring about the community enough. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean this is the thing. Like for me, one of the most important things for me is community. I again, it's building those contacts, but it's the fact that I've met so many friends who also do YouTube, but also those who don't. Like I've met obviously Chad, you don't do YouTube, but I consider you a very good friend now, and I've met so many people, and it's the community that keep me going, and that it's great because you actually build that community, and you want to make good content for that community, not because you want to get all these likes, not because you want to grow all these just massive amount. I mean, obviously kind of that's your own end game, but I don't care about how fast I get there. Obviously I'm going to be setting myself little goals every now and again. Like I want to get to 2k by the end of this week. By the end of this year I'd like to try and get to maybe 3k if I'm lucky, but ultimately I'm not too worried about that. I just want to make decent content for the community, that whether it's just the game, it's whether it's just the general community itself or the community that I've built. I want to keep on making good content for them.
Yeah, just add like a different perspective for us. It's like I mean socials is an opportunity to kind of show what we're working on, but ultimately we just want to get people in and playing. If we get a video that has a ton of likes and views, that's cool, makes us feel good. But if they don't get in and play the game, then it really just misses the mark.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and kind of with the whole YouTube side of thing, when you're because obviously you guys are putting Project Genesis into early access. Is it this month or?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Nice. I think
but we'll see.
It was either on. I think it was on Twitter actually. I saw April 24th. But obviously, again, these things are going to be subject to change. But do you guys kind of look to YouTube to kind of present opportunities to people? Because I know obviously you guys reached out to me ages ago actually about a whole early alpha playtest. But because like just time of day, it was unfortunate for me. But and then I got an email again a month ago or so about saying servers are up pretty much 24/7. Are you interested in stuff like that? And for me personally, being such a small YouTuber, to then have you guys actually like contact me, and then when I looked it up and the game genuinely does interest me, like that for me is really exciting. And for anyone interested as well, I think I need to put it as a command, but if you head to the Project Genesis website as well, check it out. If you sign up to the website as well and use code split screen, I think it's all capitals, then you can get a Steam key.
Yeah, it's actually I saw that. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. But it's case sensitive, so the S's are capitalized and the other letters are lowercase.
Okay,
otherwise,
no worries. So I'll put that in the chat now as well. So go to the Project Genesis website, sign up and use that. And you get a Steam key. There are 30 in total. Check it out. I've played a bit of the early alpha stuff for it. A lot of fun. Do you want to talk about a little bit more about the game in general?
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks. Yeah, like to answer your first question, it's funny. At first, it was kind of a means to reaching out to guys like you, was just to get very specific kind of feedback. We knew that you're interested in the same kind of game that we intend on developing. So like, hey, let's get Split Screen in, see if he'd be willing to kind of play this and just share some thoughts. And we developed this kind of code feature on our platform so that if somebody uses the code, they can get a Steam key. That wasn't really intended to be like the way to get people in on board.
Yeah, of course.
We 2 weeks ago, we were like all set. Like, hey, we have this number of Steam keys. Let's just open it up. Anybody who wants to play can come in. And we just got, I guess it was kind of a nice problem to have. We just got overwhelmed with requests, and our platform couldn't handle all the requests coming in simultaneously. And it was a bit unfortunate because then we had to shut down that process. And So now we're only giving out keys through people that that we trust or people who have played, guys like you through a code like that.
Yeah.
But I like hearing that feedback. It's telling me that that you valued it. So yeah, I'm always game for people that play the kind of game that we're shooting for, but also people that don't mind games that are early in development. I mean, games are generally going to have bugs. A game that's early in development is going to be a little bit stiff, a little hard around the edges. But if you like seeing stuff evolve, then usually I want to talk to you.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for me as well, actually, like studying games as well, for me to kind of have this opportunity as well, and hope I very much intend on seeing how the game evolves over the years to come, and for me as well, like kind of as someone studying this, it'll be interesting for me to see how you guys kind of tackle that, and hopefully we can keep in communication on a pretty regular basis and stuff like that, because I think it'll be really interesting actually, and I think I'll definitely have to make a video on it at some point as well, actually get some gameplay and stuff, and
appreciate that, man.
Hopefully you guys will enjoy that, because it is very much
absolutely
what I mean. I think you actually kind of mentioned it earlier, Oscar. It does feel almost like the whole capital ship board. If you guys like space combat and capital ship boarding and stuff like that, then you will get to you get to experience that very nicely in Project Genesis. So I think I would actually quite like to cover it, and I think for me personally, obviously there is the whole Battlefront side of things, but then seeing Project Genesis evolve and covering that as well, I think.
Yeah, that in-atmosphere battling is pretty badass. I might add to that. I mean, that was one of my favorite things about the very first Battlefront game that came out too, was that was so unique, and I think it's really cool to see that with what you guys are doing and expanding on that.
Yeah, right on. Thanks, guys. Yeah, part of it. It's a pretty awesome team. Everyone's in it for the right reasons, and what I mean by that is that we're just trying to make sure the game is legit. The game is fun, because at the end, that's all we want. We want to see people play. Because if people play, then that's all that matters. It was like little quick update is that we're actually going to take the servers offline late tonight to put in this other update. It's going to be down probably until the end of the week. So. Actually, I think I was searching Twitter because I realized that Origin's having trouble. So I'm gonna be on Twitter trying to see that if you have nothing else to play, then you could play with us for the rest of the day. The developers, we're all on at 5 p.m. my time, which is in about 3 hours from now. I know it's gonna be late for you guys in the UK, but yeah, if you want to play today, we'll be in there playing with you. But then we're gonna take it down. We're gonna take it offline and resume with an update by the end of the week.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, Yoda, we're talking about Project Genesis. So Oscar here is actually community manager on the game. Head to the website, use that code that I put in the chat as well. You can get a Steam key for it, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, would you want to quickly kind of go over what the game is kind of about as well, and kind of the features we?
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Yeah, I guess it's fine. We were talking about Battlefront 2005, Battlefront 2, the 2005 version, and it's probably a close comparison, at least what we're trying to do. Yeah. But if we're going to input a little bit of lore behind what we're trying to say, is that it's actually an AI. The AI has a consciousness that can jump between a ship and an avatar. So, and that's what allows for this mobility to go between you and a combat ship and being aboard a capital ship. So we have two modes that we're playing with. One is similar to Counter-Strike's bomb, terrorist bomb mode called Detonation, and the other one is like a traditional domination mode, Dominion.
Yeah, I played Dominion. I like that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's all up in the air. I mean, as far as where it could go, and we're just trying to see based on how the community reacts. Pretty fortunate to have a small community already, and awesome. We're just leaning on the community to get a better sense of what we should be developing next.
Nice, very nice. Right, well, I think that pretty much wraps everything up there. Actually, I think. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you, Oscar, Chad, and Nick. Nick's actually head out there. thank you all guys for watching as well. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know as well if you kind of want to see more of these kind of podcast style things, because I actually really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did as well. Chad and Oscar.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
I really like this. Absolutely, this is a blast.
Yeah, it was fun. I hope. Well, hopefully everything, everyone kind of learned a little about whether it was YouTube or the games industry in general. Because I think we had a lot of really interesting talking points that people can learn about. Even if they're kind of lurking in the chat and just kind of thinking you want to start a YouTube channel. I think this is. I feel like we covered quite a lot of really good topics there. So, and obviously about the games industry as well, and to have Oscar here as well and kind of talking about that, then that was
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like to actually have
it was
to have you in here, like the first one, someone actually part of the industry, and and a community manager as well. It was awesome to have you here, so I really appreciate you.
Likewise, thanks. I want to hear your guys' perspective and share.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it was really nice meeting you too. Good talking to you.
All right,
yeah,
well,
cool.
I'm
I'm glad.
gonna end the stream and I'll be back in a second with you guys.
All right.
All right, I'll
Have a good night, man.
I'll deafen myself quickly here and then I'll just mute. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Not a problem at all, Nick. That's absolutely fine, man. No worries at all. If you want to go and head out, check out the Project Genesis website. Like I said, code split screen. It is case sensitive, so capital S, and then everything else is lowercase.
Wonder if I need to deafen myself.
I hope you enjoyed, guys. Let me know
I'm not sure.
if you wanted to do kind of more of these things.
I didn't know if he was still going or not.
That's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And of course,